Hi, I'm Marion Leap, and I've been asked to do a video on how to make a mandala. I'll give you a little background about myself first. I'm a retired art teacher / artist, and I do a lot of mandalas myself because I really enjoy creating mandalas. So what I'm going to do is just walk through some of the basic steps of how to make a mandala. Then I'm going to show you some examples of mandalas I personally have made, and I'm going to describe how you can go about making your very own. What I did was I measured it into a square, and I'll show you how you're going to do that. I'm going to take my paper. I know it's 8.5, so what I'll do is I'll just measure 8.5 so I can get a square. And I always measure with 3 marks so that if I'm off, I immediately know when I go to tape it. So I'm going to measure that. And this is just to prep your paper. And it doesn't matter what size you use as long as you make a square, because you want your mandala to be a circle centered. So you need a square. So I have my 3 dots, and I'm going to lightly, I never press too hard, make a line. Then I'm going to take, and I'm going to use masking tape, or if you have the blue painter's tape, you can use that too, to make an edge, because I always like to have an edge on my work so I can really see my composition. And I'm going to put the tape on the inside or lower side of the paper and line it up and fold it over. And that's on one side, and I'm going to do it on the other 3 sides as well. And this sets a square. And if you want to do your mandala using a compass, you could do that too. I'm not that picky. I like to just use things that are around the house, and I'm pretty good at centering it, and I think you'll find yourself that you're not that far off. And if you are, then just go for the protractor and doing exact angles, but it's really not necessary. And I'm lining it up, making it on the edge, and this is going to give me the edge, because the square I'm interested in is the large square. This here I can use to practice my colors if I have any questions with my colors. And you can make a mandala with crayons, you can make a mandala with paint, you can make a mandala with markers, you can make a mandala with chalk. It's totally up to you. Now I ran out of tape right there, so I don't want that to leak. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull it up and smooth it out so I have a nice edge. It's a little bent, so I'll cut that right off. And then I have a piece of tape over here just to line it up. And that's going to be my frame, because my actual square that I'm going to draw on is right here. Now, some people want to make sure you get the center, and that's always a good idea. And this is a good guideline. I'm going to do corner to corner, and I'm lightly with my marker, or with my pencil, making an X, just to know where my center is. And I was asked for this particular video to use things you have around the house. So what I did was I collected all lids. So now I'm taking a regular piece of drawing paper, and I'm putting an X. Then I have a pretty large lid that's like the perfect circle, and I'm going to center it. And my X is just sort of a guideline. I like to do my circles from large to small when I'm drawing them, again lightly, because it's easier for me to get the center. But there's no one way that you have to do it. So there's my first one. I'm going to go to the next circle. And these are going to be my different designs within my mandala, just to keep it in the center. And it may not be 100% centered, but if you have it as your guidelines, you'll still be able to have a successful mandala. And those people that are perfectionists, you can make sure by measuring each mark on your X to make sure it's exactly the right center. And I've worked with both types of students. Okay? And then I'm going to do second to last one. And see how these are just guidelines. These are not my designs. These are just my guides. And then my last one I'll use is the bottle. And again, it may not be exactly perfect, but it gives me a good start. And this is going to be my mandala, okay? Now I'm going to fast forward a little, just so you don't have to watch me do the whole thing. We basically did this together. And here's one that I started. And I just did the center. I made like a flower. So now I'm going to take different markers, and you can use whatever colors you want. I'm going to start with, like, say, red, and I'm going to just go around and make a shape. Because you want to have a focus in your art and in your mandala, because that's the piece that you focus on. Now, when you're making a mandala, part of the philosophy of the mandala is that you're centering. So let your ideas just kind of flow. Like for myself, I use mandalas to kind of help me chill. As I'm doing it, I like to emphasize the shapes and the colors. And I don't worry so much about doing anything realistic. I'm emphasizing more colors and shapes in my mandalas. But you want to use whatever you're comfortable with. If you want it to be realistic things you're putting in your mandala, go for it. If you want it to be a little bit different, that's okay too. I'm just kind of making my guide. Going around. And I keep doing this over and over until it's filled in. Then I'll go to the next one. Now I like to leave my colors out as I'm using them. I started this earlier so my colors were out at one time, just because then I know what my palette is, and I want my colors to kind of be spattered. So I have a little of, say, the green in the center, I'll have some in the middle, and I'll bring it out to the end. But see how I rotate my paper too? That's another skill that I use that I find to be very comforting when I'm doing my mandalas. And a lot of times when I'm doing my mandalas, I'll have music on in the background because it's very soothing. Then I might take another color I want to use. And I have all different color markers, but again, you could use different color crayons, you could use different color chalk, whatever your comfort zone is. I've done some very detailed ones with paint, with different size brushes, but they take a very long time. So for the video, we're just going to use a marker. But you can get as sophisticated or as simple as you wish when you're creating your design. And it sort of just evolves itself. If you keep the idea that you're going all the way around the circle, you're consistent, you're going to get that sense of balance in your design. And even if there's a couple little oops as you're doing your design, it's not even going to be noticeable. It will be kind of counterbalanced. Because I know I made an extra petal on this particular design, but I'm going to guess you don't even know that I did it, except that I told you. Then I might go to the next color and see, I'm leaving out my markers so I know which ones I've used. And I'll go to the next one. And it doesn't have to be a flower in the middle. It could be a star, it could be a heart, it could be a letter. I've done these where the kids used different letters of their names in the lines. The lines are your guidelines, so you know how far you're going, so you kind of keep it centered. And I like to do about 5. But you can make more, you can make less. I wouldn't go smaller than 3 because then you'll not have enough detail and you might think your mandala is not as interesting as you want it to be. And I'll go to the next color. And if I don't have a color, I can always blend if I'm using like a paint or chalk. With markers, you kind of have to have them. But with other materials, you can blend your colors, which is really cool. And you'll have a bigger range. And the purpose of the mandala is to help you center yourself, sort of express yourself. And if you're expressing yourself, sometimes you don't even know what you're going to do until you sit down and do it and you get in the zone. I think it's easier to create when you're not talking, but since I need to talk for the video, I'm going to be talking as we go. But see how it's starting to show? And then just bring it to the next line. Use those as my guides. And it's in pencil, and I remember I said to use a light pencil. That's so I can erase it if I need to. You just need to be consistent all the way around. And then if you do that, you shouldn't have too much trouble creating your design. Maybe I'll make a design here. Now you can use any shapes. You can use as many colors as you choose. You can mix your mediums. I'll show you some other pieces when I'm done with my demonstration of how I used other mediums. And like I said, you can really, this is just a very simplistic manner to make the mandala. You can get much more sophisticated with the same basic concepts. Okay, I'm going to go to the next one. I'm going to bring the green. See, I'm going to use this as a guideline, so I might go to here. But see these lines, even though I'm not drawing the lines, I'm using them to kind of know where the center is. They're more like seatbelts, like when you're driving. They're protection to kind of not get too big too soon. And see how the petals are getting wider? That's okay. In your mandala, it's supposed to be centered from the middle, but you can have various shapes as you go around to still have the balance. 2 small ones will equal 1 big one. Okay, and then maybe I'm going to use the line here and start to color some of it in. Just taking my time. I'm drawing faster than I normally do, just so that you get a better feel for how to do it. When you're doing it, just sit down with your materials. If you make a mistake, start again. It's not life-threatening. And the nice part about doing the mandala is I almost guarantee you'll be very pleased with your end, just because the process itself is very soothing. And remember too, I've done this a lot, so if it looks like, you know, I never make a mistake, I don't believe it. I do make mistakes. And in art, it's not mistakes, it's just opportunities to make a different design. Now I would keep doing this right up to the end, but now I don't want to take too much time because I know it gets boring to watch a person. So this is one that's partially done. This was how we started. We started with the sketch, then we did a partial one. Then I'm going to fast forward to like this part and see how I have it almost finished, but it's not. And there's still the tape because I wanted to show you. Now I just started from the blue to the orange to the blue and the checkers, etc., designs, and I'm bringing my colors. Now I'm going to go out to the farther end. I'm just going to finish this one up and peel it so I can show you how to do one small one. And then I'll start showing you some of the other things. This is a really wonderful way to spend your time because you can just sit down with whatever materials you have, pencils, markers, crayons, paint, and just make a mandala. There's no right, there's no wrong. And every mandala will be different because the person who's drawing it is the person that's expressing their feeling. And some people will be very meticulous and have everything exact, and some people will be more expressive, but neither one is better. It's just the person's expressing themselves. Now see how I did that? I'm going to go around here. And the rotation of the paper really helps me. I think if you try it, you'll find that helps too. And again, if you accidentally make like suppose I'm drawing and I accidentally make a shape that I don't mean to, make it work for you by making that shape part of your design, because only you know where you're going. So there's no right and there's no wrong unless you actually tell a person. And I'm going to leave a little white when I'm using markers because I don't have a white marker, but if I'm doing paint, a lot of times I'll go back and I'll put white in the center. I always work from the center out when I'm making my design. And again, I'm going to use some of the fun colors that I used before. As long as I do it on one side, I want to do it on the other. And when you do it, you probably have it even smoother because you're not doing it on a time. But it's still relaxing even when you're doing it pretty quickly. It's also kind of cool to do these with paint because when you're doing the brush, you can just get larger lines quicker. Like the only way I can get larger lines is by using different size markers. And I don't always have the color in the size. And if you do decide to do this, honestly, try putting music in the background. It really does help. I use my line to make my shapes. And even when I'm painting, I use the same idea. I might paint some shapes and then go back and fill them in and then put lines on top. But I kind of like to use, when I'm doing it now, see, I can look over there and I forgot those two lines. Oops, almost took the wrong color. Wouldn't have been life-threatening, but stuff happens when you're doing it, and that's cool. But see how the shapes come together where your lines are? And there's all sorts of books on mandalas. You can even go online and look them up. And you'll find a lot more information than you might realize about the mandalas. I started doing these probably, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago. I did them first just for, literally just to chill. And then I got really into it. And then I used all that I knew about the design and color and just kind of put it into the mandalas. And like I said, they were much more detailed than what we're doing today, but same idea, doesn't mean you can't do it. Now with the tape on the edge too, you're going to need to be careful when you go to take it off, because if you pull it too hard, it could rip the paper. Like this paper is fairly, it's not super heavy, but it's heavier than like a regular typing paper. So you want a little heavier paper maybe, if you can get it. Construction paper would be a little bit too tough to tape, only because it's more rag content, so that might not be a good choice. But drawing paper is pretty good. You can do that with masking tape, or like I said, painter's tape. And I'm going to go with the yellow. And then we talked about having different size pens. I have one fine tip pen that I always use to sign. You can use that in your piece to get like some of your designs. And this would be like how I would use a brush too. I might do a painting and then go back and put the lines in. And once I've untaped it, it doesn't mean I'm necessarily finished. I can critique it. A lot of times I'll live with my work. I'll kind of hang it on the side and it'll be like, I know something's missing, but I'm not sure what. So I'll just hang it up, not do anything. I never sign my work till I'm sure I like what I did. And it's not that I don't like it, it's just that it's kind of my seal of, okay, now you can move on to the next piece. I'm going to use the blue because I don't have any blue on that edge. And I do my mandalas with a combination of patterns and shapes, but you can also do them with numbers. You can do them with realistic objects other than just a flower. It's just my thing and my way of de-stressing. Because I do love nature and I love the different natural shapes that nature creates. Okay. Now, I still want to put a color there, so I think I'm going to go with the light green just to bring your eye over. And again, like I said, I may decide to add more later, but for this particular video, I'll show you it with this coming out. And I try to bring the colors that I've used in the center and leave some white, because I do like the white of the paper. This has a nice clearing white. If I have any pencil lines that are showing when I'm done, I can erase them with either a kneaded eraser or a regular eraser. Okay. Still think I need a little more on the round, so I'm going to take the purple. Just to bring my eye around a little more. And my philosophy in art is that nothing ventured, nothing gained. If I don't try it, I won't know if it works or not. And if it doesn't work, well, then next time I'll know better. But if it doesn't kill me, I'm fine. Now I'm going to take and start to untape. Now on the back, I have the little tapes. So I'm going to just try to pull it up. And like I said, this might be a little more tricky. You can have your parents help you if you want to, because even for myself, I have to use my nails. And I'm going to pull away. See, I pull towards me, take it off. But see, I got my nice straight edge then. And this is partially too because I was trained in art school that you always had to have a decent composition. So we always had to make sure we set the composition. It wasn't just we came in and, picked wherever we wanted it. We had to design it that way. So this is kind of a way of displaying yourself, so you have to do that. Now, if you see or you feel like your paper's starting to rip when you're doing it, then just slow down, because sometimes it's the quality of the paper. Like I said, this is not a super drawing paper, but it's not a cheap drawing paper either. If it was cheaper, it might rip. And if that turns out to be the case for you when you're doing it, just get a paper cutter and cut it out. Just cut the square. You don't have to worry about the tape. You'll still have the edge. And this is a very quick mandala, but your mandalas can take hours, they can take weeks, depending on what you're using. So don't feel that you have to finish it in 20 minutes. I'm doing it just so you have a general idea. And again, you'll set up your workstation the way you're comfortable. I like having all my colors within reach. I like having my ruler handy, scissors, tape. If you don't like having all that stuff, you can clean it all up and just have your paper and markers in front of you. It will also keep you more focused on just the design you're doing. Now there's my mandala. Now that extra piece, now is when I take my scissor or my paper cutter, if I have a paper cutter, and cut it. And now I have a perfect mandala that we just did. And with the mandala too, remember, you don't have to do it. You can go like a diamond. And then once you decide where your top and bottom is, that's when you sign it. Like if I'm going to sign it straight up, I put my signature over here. If I'm going to do it to the side, I put it over there. Now I'm going to show you some more advanced ones that I did earlier, and I'll show you how I started. Now right here, this is my paper that I primed with paint. And see how I did the circle? Same thing. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I didn't do the X because I can kind of center it. Then I would do exactly what we did over there, where I start a shape in the middle and just work out. I like working from the center out because it's easier to not smear when you're doing paint. And that's really why I tend to do that. And if you're using charcoal or crayon, you might also find by working from the center out, it's safer. Here's a fast forward. This is one that I did that's complete. And see, you have the tape all done. Signature, because I'm going to keep it straight. It's right there. This is one that's finished. You have your signature. It's all done. And this was done with a watercolor gouache and then just colored permanent markers on top, layer on layer on layer. But see how I have a white marker for that so I could go back? And that was the permanent marker. If you get the permanent markers, they do come in white. You have to get used to how fast to use them because sometimes they blob. Over here are 2 more that I did. Again, same concept. Here's another one, starting from the center, working out. But it's the idea of using a color and using shapes to create something that is both pleasing to your eye, but also pleasing to your soul. That's how I find it. Because after I finish these, I always feel kind of proud. And, you know, some of them are more intricate than others. This is the other one I did. I have one more I'll be working on. It's probably this evening. But this is the last one I just did. But that will give you an idea. And again, it's starting with, and I'll show you the steps one more time just in case. Starting with the paper, measuring it to get your bullseye. You can do the X to make it centered. Then once you have the X, starting from the center and working out. And again, if I want to go back and put more lines on, which I would because some of these are not as crisp, so I'll go back with my fine tip, you can do that. And then eventually making one. And this is a 20-minute version where the other ones obviously took more time. So I hope that this video helped you, and I hope that you find that mandalas can be great not only for people to look at when you're done, but for yourself. I personally love working with mandalas, and I love working with mandalas in any medium. You pick the medium. You just need a quiet space, some paper, a ruler, pencil, and then whatever medium you're doing in your set. Okay, thank you, and I hope you enjoyed it.